Have you ever walked past a bench with a wet paint sign and felt the immediate, almost uncontrollable urge to touch it? That impulse to test the unknown often overrides our basic logic. Long before modern psychology mapped this flaw, ancient Indian scholars documented its fatal consequences in a collection of moral frameworks known as the Panchatantra. One of its most enduring warnings is set in a bustling ancient Indian town, where skilled carpenters were tasked with erecting a massive new temple. A large-scale construction site is a highly complex environment, filled with latent physical danger for anyone who doesn't understand how the tools work. Every day, these craftsmen labored over massive wooden beams. Splitting trunks of this size required immense force. A small wedge is driven into a starting crack. Inward-facing arrows appear, representing the immense stored kinetic energy of the heavy wood, pushing back against that insertion point. Zooming in on the contact point, intense friction holds it in place. The split wood wants to snap shut violently, held entirely by the wedge. When the midday bell rang, the human workers dropped their tools and left the site for lunch, leaving the mechanism completely unguarded. Leaving thousands of pounds of suspended kinetic tension without safeguards creates a deadly snare for anyone ignorant of the physical forces at play. The moment the work site went silent, a wild troop of monkeys descended from the surrounding trees into the empty yard. They wildly scrambled over the high scaffolding, playfully swinging across heavy beams and knocking over the carpenter's tools. While the rest of the troop chased each other across the high rafters, one specific monkey separated himself from the group. His attention locked onto the massive split log resting in the center of the yard, completely fixated on the strange wooden wedge protruding from its surface. General chaos rarely triggers a systemic failure. The real danger begins when curiosity narrows down to a single, uneducated point of contact. He stared at the wedge. He had no context for human tools, no understanding of timber or tension, only an obsessive drive to pull the strange object loose. He climbed atop the log and sat down. To get a better grip, he dangled both legs deep into the gaping crack where the crushing force was concentrated. He grabbed the wood and pulled. The wedge didn't budge, held tight by the massive pressure of the timber pressing inward. Frustrated, he planted his hands and applied every ounce of his physical strength to dislodge it, completely blind to what would happen the exact millisecond he succeeded. The wedge broke free. Instantly, the two halves of the massive log slammed together, violently releasing that stored kinetic energy and trapping him inside. The mechanical tension resolved exactly as physics dictated, completely indifferent to the animal's playful intent. The sharp crack of the wood echoed across the yard, followed by dead silence. The surviving monkeys scattered into the forest in sheer terror. Hours later, the carpenters returned to find the trap sprung. Surveying the scene, they immediately deduced the exact sequence of events. The craftsmen understood the precise mechanical forces required to split the wood, whereas the animals saw only a toy to be pulled. This tragedy was the inevitable outcome of an organism colliding with a rigid system it did not respect. Looking at this chart, we can map out this behavioral trap. Productive curiosity exists high on the knowledge axis, where we observe. But when the pulsing dot drops into high curiosity and low knowledge, we enter the red danger zone, where observation turns into reckless meddling. Whether you are navigating an ancient construction site or a modern financial system, acting without a baseline understanding of the mechanisms at play inevitably invites unnecessary destruction. If you want to unpack more frameworks from the Panchatantra, Jataka tales, and other ancient wisdom traditions, like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel with the notification bell turned on. Wisdom requires the discernment to identify which forces are safe to test and which ones will crush you.